I think it's a lot about the personality that each person has, right? There's two types of people in every company, or two types of people, period. The ones who run the business and the ones who change the business, period. Right? If you are a change the business person on a run the business environment, you're going to be miserable. I'm definitely not advocating for having an AI doctor or anything like that. What I am advocating for is, in the same way that in Moody's, for example, we build agents that could empower, give superpowers to a CEO. Imagine it like a Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder.
Welcome to Entangled Health, where we explore the intersections of quantum science, AI, biotechnology, and human well-being. My name is Thomas, and I'm convinced that health innovation happens at the entangled boundaries, where cutting-edge physics meets biology, where consciousness research intersects with technology, and where visionary thinking transforms into practical solutions. We're bringing together pioneers, researchers, and innovators who are reshaping how we understand and experience health. My guest today is Sergio Gago, CTO at Cloudera, serial entrepreneur, guitarist, and also known in the community as Quantum Pirate. Sergio is working at the frontier of quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and innovation with real-world impact. In this episode, we'll jointly explore how risk models from global finance might reshape how we think about public health, how data can come alive through sound, and what it means to truly keep a beginner's mind open, creative, and ready for fresh questions. We have not planned to do jointly live music for the recording of this episode, but if you like to hear some entangled tunes in the future, let us know in the comments. A quick disclaimer, all chats at Entangled Health are a co-creation between the guest and myself, and not an official statement from our industries. We are here in a personal capacity, so everything we share is just our own take, not the official view of any company, nor of my employer or any other organization. To add a little bit of dopamine, later in the show we'll dive into the Entangled Health question pool. A quantum algorithm running on real hardware picks which question we answer. Our guests ask their own question to the pool and then answered it live. To reach 1 million listeners, we might change the rules, but that's a bit far out. Stay tuned, and who knows what the quantum dice will reveal. Yeah, hi, greetings. Welcome, Sergio. It's really cool to have you. And at one point in time, we really need to do this as a video, so it's always cool to see who's smiling when the jingle comes. Just for the guests and everyone, so a quick reminder, this podcast is in principle about bringing people together who should know of each other. And we had a dragon, now we have a pirate. I think many listeners will know Sergio under his Quantum Pirate subscriber thing. Sergio is now in a new role, and I think before we get to know you, Sergio, and your journey, I'm keen to learn from my guests first what they make of this Entangled Health. So if you can share maybe some thoughts that triggered you, or if you shook your head, or whatever, go.
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, a fellow band member, right? For those of you who don't know, Thomas and I played together at one of those quantum conferences with the Ion Maidens. And actually, I think to answer your question, right, is Entangled Health, music, knowledge, and future. For me, are those things just different perspectives of the same thing. And when you think about the convergence of what is going on in the world today, quantum obviously is a big topic, AI and agents and so on, it's another one, but the new materials and robotics and nanorobotics and other things that are completely outside of my area of expertise, but potentially much more into the health industry. Oh, wow, what a time to be alive. For a while, I thought, dang, I was too young to be part of the computer revolution. I was born way too late when everyone already had a PC or thereabouts, but way too early for space exploration. So I'm in this generation in the middle that gets stuck with the fourth industrial revolution. And for a long time, I thought, dang, the best thing that we brought to the world were the app stores and the smartphones.
Whoa,
And that was
yes.
depressing.
What an innovation.
But I'm not going to be wrong. Of course, I love my smartphone, but what we have been seeing in the last 10, 15 years in all areas of science and industry working together, it's both exciting and mesmerizing. And I like to think how our kids are going to live in the world in the future, what type of jobs they will have, and effectively, how will we live our lives? I cannot even start thinking about that. So maybe it is entangled health, but also entangled lifestyle, which is kind of health as well, right? And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but yeah, put all that together. A lot of huge disrupting technologies and scientific research, right? Each of those by themselves could create an industrial revolution. And now you put these 10, 12 technologies and things that are happening exponentially faster. Every 6 months, there's a wow factor happening in the world. It's difficult even to keep up, right?
Yeah, we'll touch this later, because I guess you're quite advanced in that with you, and you can even write newsletters on this. So you do a lot of stuff, Sergio. So I saw you playing in front of the Berlin Wall, yeah, guitar. You design T-shirts, you write newsletters. So the guy to not, why should you not like Sergio? And I think if you could share a bit your journey. I mean, you founded, I think, 5 or whatever companies quite young, and you're leading quantum initiatives at Moody's. Now you serve as a CTO at Cloudera. So can you share a bit, maybe some inflection points or your journey starting from kindergarten or whenever you want?
Sure. So I think a big inflection point was. I was really, really young. I don't even have big memories from that, but I remember having one of those cassette computers back in the 80s.
C44, as you see, Commodore. Or...
It was an Amstrad. Then I had a Spectrum. So that was the beginning of that. Right? And I think it was my father had this idea of saying, hey, look, there are these things called computers. It may be good for education or whatever. But he brought one. I think he brought it from the UK back then. I was living in a very small city in Spain. And, I had this magazine with the source code of a game. The snake game that then we all had on Nokia phones.
And did you type it or?
And you had to type it. Exactly. So you had, it was a printed magazine.
Yeah, I know these.
There was nothing, no floppy disk even. We were doing things on cassette tapes.
Yeah.
So you had to copy all that, and these magazines were monthly magazines. And very often, pretty much every month, they had typos. And today we call them bugs. Before there were typos, maybe they misprinted something, and then you typed everything and the program did not work. You had to go back and say, all right, what is going on? Is there something on the way I copied the code or something? And no, it does not compile. It does not run. What is going on with this? And in some cases, the month after, they would come with a
solution,
a correction saying, "Oh, we're sorry, we had an error last month. Here's the right line on line number 1003 or whatever." This was basic, right? Or Q basic and so on. So that gave me some kind of resilience and started structuring my mind being an engineer, I guess. The second thing that I think was very relevant, so this was the first game, right? The snake game. Little line that was...
The hashtag walking around and eating dots, wasn't it?
Exactly. Apple that were basically hashtags in the middle of the screen on a green and black screen. Then I realized, hey, if I change this little variable here, I get infinite lives. Or if I change this, I can make a portal to move the snake from here to the other side of the screen. I could, hack a little bit the game to do my bidding. So that was the start of my sort of hacking mindset on let's just not do the things, but make them your own, right? And from then on, I kind of, I think my mind evolved into try to tinker with everything. So A, you know how it works, and B, you make it do your own bidding. Whether it was a small circuit that does something, or a little small robot that does plays sumo against other robots, and those type of things. Then I was really bad at college. I didn't like all this calculus and physics and all that because I was basically playing.
You were busy building things.
Exactly. And then at some point, someone told me, a good friend and mentor of mine said, well, if you like to build things, why don't you try to build things for others instead of for yourself? And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey.
Okay.
And that was when I built my first company. I was 17. And back then I was very young and naive. Now I am only naive, I like to say. Effectively, it was like, hey, I know how to do all these things. I'm sure I am better than everyone else. I'm just going to go and do it, right? And of course, it failed miserably because not only I didn't know more than anybody else, I didn't know anything about absolutely anything, right? We built a consulting company. And I think in 1 year, before I actually got to 18, I learned more than many people in an MBA or other programs that get there. But it was with the same mindset of building and hacking things, and some kind of stewardship and servantship component of saying, well, if you build something that other people like and are willing to pay for it, and you're connecting the dots between something that you know could be done and a need in the world, that's magic. Right? Whether it is an e-commerce company that is able to bring something from one place and put it in someone's house, all the way to a little robot that cleans your toilet.
Why not?
It doesn't really matter. So, of course, our consulting company did not work out because we didn't know absolutely anything about business or consulting, or we only knew how to code software. So I said, all right, let's do some reflection on this. What do I need in order to make this happen? A, I need good contacts and network. B, I need some industry experience. So I got a job, learned everything I could, and then built my second company, which was again on consulting. But then that time, we were able to make it into a company that made it a little bit more success and all that, and we managed to grow and have a lot of reference customers and so on. I was then probably around 21. And then I realized, well, if you are in this type of business, consulting, the problem is you make money every time you hit nail with your hammer. But I want to build something that makes me money without having to nail the hammer constantly.
The magic holy grail.
Exactly. But I was thinking in terms of scalability. And then I came into that. That was the golden era of internet and SEO and these type of things. So I went very quickly into digital businesses and so on, and moved to Barcelona and then to other places. It was always a hacking mindset. With I guess the driving force was, what if? Let's just do it. Make shit happen. And being always, I think two things that drove my mindset. One is try to be the stupidest person in the room. Many people tries to be the smartest one, right? I think it should be the other way around. You have to surround yourself with people that are smarter and more intelligent than you. And then number two is be brave. And so sometimes you're just outside of your comfort zone, doing something that you're definitely not prepared to. But Halls, yeah, let's go and do it, and things will happen. And I think that the guitar playing is a little bit like that, right? In music, sometimes you're not prepared. I'm definitely not a professional musician, and I'm lousy at times. But man, didn't we play well at
yes,
London,
lousy
right?
and loud.
Loud, very loud.
Repeat the same error 5 times, and then it sounds like it's making sense. Yeah, but I think this is really quick. What you mentioned, also this learning from making music or learning to play in a band where you are definitely the worst player, and all the other guys are just a little bit more sophisticated, even if it's just one hint, one trick they have you don't have yet. So this leaps, quantum knowledge leaps.
Yeah.
This is really amazing what happens when you play with professionals. I mean, we had Chris, so
Yeah,
on our band, which in this room where we're practicing, I think I also did a quantum leap just by being in the room and he having he having the bass and we having our other instruments. So this
absolutely.
it's really cool. And I mean, just from as you just said, this cross domain thinking. And making money. So I don't know anything about the finance industry, and apparently you worked in the finance industry. So is there something from these finance days that still stick with you now that you have other things to do? I mean, or maybe bridging to your new role or current role, what you're actually doing
Right.
On Cloudera.
Well, absolutely. I learned a ton how the world actually works, right? For me, it was kind of incidental getting into the finance world. So the reason I joined Moody's is because I sold a company called Acquire Media to Moody's. This was maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was a company where we used machine learning, the classical traditional machine learning, not Gen AI as everyone is more today with. And we did that to extract signal and insights from real-time news.
From real-time what?
Real-time news.
Okay.
Anything that got published, either a press release and a feeling on the SEC on a public company, any yearly report from a company, earnings,
Bloomberg tickers and stuff like that.
everything, right? And we had many different types of customers. Some of those were in finance because they would use all this news to either forecast the market or build models around it, or simply to identify potential credit risk for a given company. Now, of course, the amount of noise that comes huge, right? That there were millions and millions and millions of stories that you would be ingesting every single day. So identifying which ones are relevant, identifying the signal, and then doing the entity extraction on those stories. Like, hey, this piece is talking about this company and that company. And doing that at scale is not a small feat.
Not trivial.
It was the era of big data, big machine learning algorithms that still have to be explainable and interpretable. So when you say, hey, we have identified a very strong negative sentiment against this company because an analyst bashed the company after the latest earnings call, you have to be 100% right on that one, because there are companies making trading decisions based on
this news.
that signal, right? So this company was fantastic. We had an amazing team of scientists who worked very, very hard for many years on that, and we ended up in Moody's because it was a perfect match, right?
You have been acquired by Moody's or what?
Exactly. So
okay.
And that is how I went directly into finance, right? And really learned how, first of all, the world of credit risk analysis it's an impact to the world. Obviously, the ratings agencies have a big impact and saying in all that, especially in North America and Europe wide as well. And also the amount of information that allows us to make those decisions and effectively that drives the world.
Yeah.
Needless to say, when any ratings agency says, hey, this company was a AAA and now it's a AA, that has a massive impact.
B-, and then you pay more tax.
Exactly, or with whole countries when the risk rating of a given country goes down. We've all seen what happened in the US a few months ago, and so on. So I joined Moody's. I was the general manager of that unit. That was fantastic. And I never imagined being at the company for that long because I am a startup person. I like to build things, make them grow, make them bigger, make them sustainable. And then at some point, So I am a sprint runner, not a marathon runner.
Yeah, me too, by the way.
And that was fantastic. But Moody's is a great company. I love them. I love the people there and all that. And they gave me the opportunity to say, "Hey, Sergio, you've been talking about quantum computing and how the finance world is in a way not so different from many things in physics." From theory to Bohmian stuff, all the way to simulations and how we run Monte Carlos and so on. We would be interested on starting exploring quantum computing and how it would affect. We know that some other companies, some other banks, and other financial institutions have started working in quantum. Moody's has a lot of saying in that. Not only works with pretty much every major financial institution in the world, banks, insurance companies, asset managers, and the likes. So it is in a really good strategic position. On one hand, Moody's is not a bank itself, right? But it's neither a quantum company offering quantum hardware or services. So I figured, hey, maybe we could be the right partner and mentor in the middle. We can bring this knowledge on what is the impact of quantum for finance and how do we bring that over to clients, but without being biased. Of what is claiming quantum advantage and
yeah, everyone same here on the healthcare side. So finance and healthcare, very attractive markets.
So in finance, that was basically my dive into finance on learning all those things, learning how quants, not quantum people, but quants, these mathematicians work and how they build these models, and there's risk models and so on. And now I think I am applying that everywhere, right? It's at the end of the day how the world works today. Sometimes you read something on the news or see on TV, and you kind of understand what they're saying, but not quite, right? And I like to make a comparison with how AI, and I know I'm jumping topics here, but take an AI agent, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And everyone is trying to use agents for 1,000 things, from writing text all the way to making, there's some AI agents making trading decisions on your behalf out there. So take a P&L from any given company, maybe a 10K filling from the US market or something. The chief economist at Moody's or any other company or any other bank and myself, we both know how to read English, right? We can read that report, the P&L, all the remarks, the yearly. Both of us can read that perfectly fine. But the insights that a chief economist is going to have are orders of magnitude better than mine, right? So very related to how entangled things work and how do you apply technology, whether it's quantum or AI. How do you bring that specific insight, those specific insights and knowledge that go beyond data? And we typically focus on the data, but now it's about the skills as well.
And tell me on this agentic AI. So because we also, everybody is exploring this, and there are definitely certain bounds, ethical, legal, what have you. But coming back to the first idea that you mentioned, when you do knowledge extraction from texts or what have you, in how far do we need or do we want to have some kind of ontology or knowledge, whatever, just to do the data cleansing so that they know that Mr. Smith from X is not the Mr. Smith from Y, all these things? So what's your experience in really using these agents to help, or is it not really helpful? I'm just keen to see if it works.
I think you're hitting the sweet spot there, and that's very right. And that actually is the very reason why I joined Cloudera.
Okay.
So, AI agents are now all over the place, and everyone wants to use them. And most companies will have a team or some people doing experiments and so on. And what Gen AI has brought us is the ability of creating proofs of concept or experiments that create a huge wow factor that can truly move the needle. So you can generate an agent that does something amazing, and everyone falls in love with that and say, "Wow, I want to do this, and I want to do this for the whole company." Now, taking that into a production enterprise-grade environment,
it's a bit different story, isn't it?
it's a completely different story. It's different people, different governance elements, different software, different everything. And it's precisely because of what you're saying. How do you bring this ontology, business knowledge, and capabilities into those agents? So let's take one step back. If we believe, and this is an if, right? I do believe it. If we believe that agents are going to be our digital colleagues very soon, in the same way that we will have humanoid robots in the warehouses, like we have today the Amazon robots going around the warehouses. We're going to have humanoid robots. Will we have agents as digital colleagues? Not virtually sitting next to us and helping us, the humans, do better, more, and in a more efficient way. How do we manage those agents? Is that an HR task? Is that an IT task? Or something new that combines those two departments together? In our organizations, in your company, in my company, each person has, number one, insider knowledge, how the company works. Who's that person that can help you unblock this thing on that? We have been building rapport and relationship for many years.
With whom to drink coffee.
Exactly. Right? Large companies have this kind of things. What is the ticket that you have to open to IT, to my laptop broke, or all those things that are relevant? And then, of course, the ontology that you were referring to. What is the company process for X, Y, Z? That is industry level. So obviously, each industry, each type of company will have its own things. Then second is intellectual property level.
Yes.
What are the things that are extremely, extremely unique for the things that you do? And in your industry, that is paramount, I imagine. And then there are the things that on how the company does those things, right? I call these skills, for the lack of a better word. So putting all that in context, it's not just about knowledge bases. You need the knowledge bases, but you need to extract those ontologies actually in order to with the agents. Do you prepare this in a way that is sort of training material for a model or for an agent and then using that? Or do you use it in a way that is training for the agent in the same way that we train our own people? And when we get an intern that slowly goes up the ranks of the company and becomes a senior director, or when you hire someone from your competitor and so on. So I like to think of this in terms of human resources, actually, or agent resources. And that's the big difference when you go from a proof of concept all the way to a production environment. Now, in order to do that, you need a good catalog of your data and metadata, a very good authorization and authentication process, who can access what and in what level. For the most part, most companies have that solved one way or another for the humans. So how do we port that to the non-human colleagues? And then put that together in a platform and a system that allows you to deploy hundreds or thousands of agents to do things.
Yeah, we all know Nick Bostrom and the problem of giving the wrong cost optimization functions for the AI. But I mean, maybe we can talk later a bit about the ethics component of it, or I mean, we could jump, because I think just to bring it maybe these findings into a, say, health related setting. So on the one hand, we have just money. But if you move even further and say, let's go just for the sake of it into a clinic, what have you? So these kinds of risk management, agentic supported risk management could really help also the hospitals to get away from doctors who are burned out. The support staff is burned out because just repeated unnecessary stuff has to be done in administration, etc. And I think if we both are musicians, hobby musicians, so we are we're claiming that we are not shy to perform on stage.
Yeah, that's the only claim we make.
Having no clue what we are talking about. So let's use this. Let's use this. So if you would put yourself into your old consulting role and consulting and hospital CIO for whatever, and with all you know today, their EHRs, their health records, electronic health records, data silos. I mean, these are really brutal. So they don't even have internet connection because for these things. Any idea where you could, with a disclaimer of these ultra brutal governance framework security things, what would make sense where they could go in? So we don't want to compete with all the consultancies who do this professionally, but just your take. So
yeah. I'm probably the least qualified person in the world to answer this, which means that no one should take my answer.
Yes, we have the disclaimer. I will add some digital bells. So this is and the doc. So what
Exactly.
we're doing now is fully in improvisation.
But I think it's a great question, and I think healthcare has two big sides, right? One is an operational side. Mm-hmm. Another one is which is kind of similar to finance as well, the stochastic side of things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So on one hand is how do you support the actual process of say healing or identifying a specific illness, mm-hmm. or maybe doing the drug trials for something, anything in the whole pipeline on the industry from from palliative treatments all the way to surgery or post-surgery treatments, all that. Many of those things, from what I know, are very stochastic in nature, right? And you go to a doctor, if you are unlucky and you have some sort of cancer, then you're given a percent of the life expectancy or something like that. That comes from data and many numbers and many different things, and of course the expertise and gut feeling sometimes of the doctor you have in front of you, so that maybe you go for a second opinion, third opinion, and then you get it. So it has this combination of statistics, massive data, and art, and knowledge of the person that you have. Yes. That is, in a way, a perfect training ground for these type of systems that are good at statistics and are good at identifying features that are maybe sometimes hidden from us. So that's one side. On the other side is, how do we give superpowers to all the health professionals that are basically saving us every day, and arguably in every single country overworked and undertreated from governments and low budgets and so on. I think there's a lot of space for empowering our health professionals and then these superpowers, either by making better decisions with more data, by reducing some of the operational work and burden. I was at the doctor a few months ago, and I think the doctor was with me about 30 minutes, and then he had to spend 15 or 20 minutes just typing things.
Typing stuff, yeah.
And I was thinking, like, why are you doing this? It's a super low hanging fruit on improving that and so on. And then being aware of all the research that is going on, right? There's some random doctor on the other side of the world who just published a paper on a new procedure to do exactly the same thing that has, 100% success rate of success. So on one side is the process by itself, the stochastic process, and quantum has a lot to say in there.
Yes.
The optimization process and whatnot, whether it is our typical cases of scheduling problems, right? Or analyzing
bottleneck capacity. I think I've seen one. This is years old where they had these D-Wave was doing this hospital. I think it was around COVID, so everyone has capacity problems everywhere. So I think they made these kinds of traveling salesperson or these knapsack stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, but then even on the quantum machine learning stuff, right? You get blood analytics from tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, and the insights that you can get from that and all the historical data could be truly massive in terms of improving our indicators for potential illnesses or even some other stuff that you can get. Pregnancy issues, right? Or possibilities of having a stillborn baby based on features.
Based on early data, yeah.
I think a lot of the data is based on the insights and the gut feeling of the doctor. Could be amazingly well because he's a fantastic doctor, or maybe he's not that good. So imagine the amount of things that you could get by doing this. Obviously, as an industry, is heavily regulated, as it should be. Who can access what data and what data can be stored is something that we need to be very careful with. I'm definitely not advocating for having an AI doctor or anything like that. What I am advocating for is, in the same way that in Moody's, for example, we build agents that could give superpowers to a CEO making capital investment decisions based on outlook and situation in the world and risk factors and so on, and saying, hey, you're saying that you want to open a new factory in this country, but just so you know, this is the political risk factor that you have here. Your competitors are actually using sources from this other place, and historically this has been the volatility and all that. Imagine it like a Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder.
Yeah, and I think this is something where we could eventually just brainstorm a bit further. Is sonification or whatever of data. I'm not sure. I think at Moody, some guys of you did some sonification. So how could data look? I'm not sure if you are involved, but this just came up to my mind talking to a a very creative person, so to say, as a unobtrusive, reliable agent, a tool. I mean, and then maybe we can talk later what's the difference between agent and just smart software, or is it maybe just the same? But do you think it would make sense, or just imagine myself, I'm in an environment and then you hear this beam, 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 beam. So we have a lot of alerts, for example, in all these hospital settings, so they are already overwhelmed with stuff. Could this make sense to say I have, instead of a dashboard or alert where I have to look and then focus away from the patient, that I have something like artificial smell doesn't work, but artificial. I'm just thinking if it makes sense.
I think it makes absolute sense, and when you mix it with embodied AI and robotics, it's exponential. Because then you get a lot of sensorics, real-time information where, there are so many doctors and nurses out there, and we have an aging population pretty much everywhere in the world. We are increasing our life expectancy as well, and we even expect to keep increasing that. So in some cases, I would imagine that healthcare is going to move out of the hospital into the house.
At home, yeah.
But then having the same level of care and support without having to be multimillionaire and having a 24/7 medical team at home, right? So I was recently with a group of researchers from Spain who were doing an experiment in one hospital of feeding robots for patients with different types of paralysis and so on. And lo and behold, this was like a humanoid-like robot, experimental, who would feed them with a spoon and so on. And the perception from the patients was actually much better than having a human feeding them, for many different factors, right? Like some don't like another person feeding them, or
It's giving back dignity or what? So
yeah, kind of
yeah.
dignity,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, this robot got a lot of data back on potentially identifying things, right? Another robotics company in the US, this in Europe probably is a little bit more difficult to release. And I won't give names on the companies, but they built like a head robot, just the head, with a little iPad on the side. And their point is for fighting what's the word for the elderly who are alone, like widows and so on. One of the biggest death risks in the elderly is solitude. Either because there's an accident and no one sees,
Nobody gets it. Yeah.
but also because ending up on a downward
Mental
cycle of
spiral. Yeah.
depression, and then you don't take care of yourself, and then you don't eat properly, then you forget to take your pills, and so on. So this company made a specific model, and it's a specific LLM that's trained only for their specific cases. It has the little iPad on this side, and it's a companion. It does remind the patient on, hey, these are your pills that you need to take. Have you taken them? It's connected to their MD on their normal care. So if there is an emergency and they opt in, they call the hospital or 112 to get help. But the most important thing is that for these people that suffer of solitude, they help them a lot, and then they sing together with them. Then, hey, let's play karaoke, or let's talk about the news today. So the reports that they're getting is that these people are happier and more engaged with life and so on, which is also part of the psychological element of health. So all in all, it's a fantastic time to be alive, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and I think I'm currently paid by my company to make AI governance. So which is super interesting, specifically these days, and all these. I mean, we don't discuss these copyright things, etc., etc. How these trains have been learned, but as a reality check, also for you in your daily life. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? So this EU AI Act. So just your perspective, maybe sticking in this what we just discussed. So from a high risk classification, for example, for this AI, and maybe also from an ethical perspective to say, okay, you give this now, it's a high risk, so it's certified, but then you steal away the job of the dog, because in principle the dog should also care, or people who, so caregivers, if they would just live with the person, etc. You want to comment on that? So how we might use the best of all dimensions just to move forward and generate a positive outcome for everyone?
I think it is fundamental, and we should not take shortcuts. Yeah. So we've gone through the honeymoon phase of AI, where we say, look at all these things that this can achieve. And what if we connect it to robots and embody the AI? And what if we do this and that? And what if we have quantum algorithms that help us with the simulation and whatnot?
Even worse. Yeah. No, even better. Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't add this governance layer, then you let technology drive our world and decisions
Yeah.
at the mercy of those who have control of those technologies, right? So it's not only about sovereign AI considerations, and for example, the UN has a lot of good programs on that, on their global compact program and democratization of AI and so on. So, for example, would you, as a company, outsource all your decisions to someone on the other side of the world that you have no control over? That can cut your ties anytime, that can be biased, and if they tell you today that they are not biased, and you're going to pay them for every word they tell you, they give you back.
Yeah.
Only you wouldn't.
Clever idea.
What? But that is what we're doing when we go and use LLMs as a service and so on. So you need to have governance at all levels, from the data governance in the same way that we have today. probably those of us who work or have worked in public companies, unless we are a certain level in the company, we cannot see our financial results until
Yes.
maybe our company is in the process of merger and acquisition and is buying a company. Not everyone in the company is privy to who are we buying and for how much. How much our CEO is being paid. Well, that's sometimes public, but you get the idea, right? We have decent governance on our data and who does what and how and why is that important today with humans. At the same time, we have all these risk mitigation techniques from data recovery and data recovery elements, all the way to what happens if we have the buzz factor on people in our team, right? There's John Doe, who's the only person who can run this. What happens if this person leaves the company? Oh, we're completely screwed. So all that is risk mitigation plans. When it comes to AI and even compute in general, if you don't have a mitigation plan for where does my compute happen, do I rely on a hyperscaler and my data is on a US region on the cloud, or do I have some sovereign infrastructure that controls that environment? That's what many countries are doing, the EU as well, with the sovereign cloud efforts and so on. Quantum is no different. That is why pretty much all the major countries are working on their own quantum strategies, right? So scientific sovereignty on that. And then it's at the data level. How do you make sure that you control, manage, and support all your data states as they keep growing and happening in your company? And something that is fluid, right? It's not just, all right, I'm going to put all my data on a drawer and that's it. And I'll open, get the data, read it, and put it back. No,
Unless you have a good key.
it's very much fluid. So you need to have those three things together. That's what we do at Cloudera, effectively, trying to bring that together for enterprises.
So let's shift gears to come back to the extremely opposite way, so from regulations to innovation. So and the balance between this. And I think now we are older than 20 both. So if there is something, I think you're also very motivated doing mentoring and you're very value based. Unfortunately, people don't see it very much. So it is, and I assume you put this quantum pirate personality to live your wildest dreams. But is there something you can share with our listeners? So to say how to stay curious in these regulated innovations and have the signal to noise filter. How do you learn that, or how do you keep the beginner's mindset, even though you are one of these old guys now, knowing everything since 25 years? And how do you stay? So I mean, it's really a situation where you need to enforce yourself to come back to the appetite when you're young.
I think it's a lot about the personality that each person has, right? And I think it was Clayton Anderson at the Innovator's Dilemma book, or someone else, that there's two types of people in every company, or two types of people, period. The ones who run the business and the ones who change the business, period. Right? And if you are a change the business person on a run the business environment, you're going to be miserable.
Yes.
Because you will try to change things. Right? This happens very often when a company buys a startup, right? A corporation buys a startup, and there's this massive cultural difference. Startup people who are used to hack around, everyone does everything. There are no process because they just go, and land in a corporate environment where there are processes and people for the smallest little thing in operation in the company for a reason, right? But still, that is the reason why most CEOs or founders who are acquired after their vesting period, all of them leave.
They're gone.
They cannot adapt to that type of culture, and it's not because it's a bad culture. It's because it's different. And if you are there to change the world, then it's really difficult in those environments. What are the incentives that we have in large enterprise public companies? What are quarterly results, right? Our stock price, the perception from our stockholders, and so on. So that drives a lot of the decisions and the mind share on what we do. Therefore, by definition, companies are going to be a little bit less innovative enterprises on that sense. There is more to lose.
Okay.
At the same time.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's a little bit like why many founders are started companies when they are in their early 20s. Think about that. You don't have a mortgage, you don't have kids, you don't have a better paying job to lose. So, I mean, it's really easy to be an entrepreneur when you can live off 500 euros a month in a flat, sharing a flat with 8 people and eating noodles every day.
Yeah.
But that would be in Europe. In the US, where you would need more than that. But you don't lose anything, right? You lose time, and not even because you.
Yeah, it's just your own life. You don't spoil the life of others. Then, yeah.
Exactly. Now, let's say you have a family, you have 2, 3, 4 kids, you have a mortgage, you have a car with payments and all that, and with your partner, one of you has a job, the other one maybe one more low-paying job. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to quit my decent paying corporate job and start a new company that most likely, as the statistics say, will fail. I mean, it is a tough choice. That's why it is more the way you feel in life, right? I am not saying corporates cannot do innovation. On the contrary, many companies have really good innovation teams and so on. Otherwise, probably we would not be able to talk about quantum that much.
Yes. True.
So you need to find a way to get these change the company people and give them space to thrive. Still bound to the company rules and environment, but with much more freedom than before. This is all corporate innovation, as they call it, and then it's a gradient. Some people can be okay on a corporate innovation function where there are some boundaries, but still you get some freedom. Some people are civil servants who will be doing the same job forever and ever, and where there's going to be, and I mean, corporate civil servants in that term. And then some people are going to be building things and tinkering and hacking all the time. The way I try to do it, because I like to do many things at the same time, I try to balance myself with those things. If I have a very corporate job, like when I was at Moody's, then I would also work in an investment fund or as an angel. So I could keep a leg and 3 fingers into the startup world and support it and so on, and trying to get the best of both worlds. And thanks to that, I've made some investments on quantum and other fields as well that keep me alive on that sense, right? Music is obviously another thing, and it's being curious and passionate all the time. Sometimes it's like, you know what? I cannot sleep. Let me start hacking around.
Try to kiss Git solver.
That's honestly, that's how I came into quantum.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing some genome analysis. I was a little bit into biocomputing back then, and I was trying to analyze this genome and so on. And then a random person said, "Well, you know, this is a problem that you could encode on a quantum annealer." And I was like, "No, quantum what?"
Quantum, yes.
Isn't that wet dream from Feynman from 2 decades ago? What are you talking about? And you know, then that you get into the rabbit hole, and then you start working with.
You start downloading the paper, and then it's done.
You know the story, right? And then you go into Qiskit, and then you read the Mike and Ike, and then you're like, "Oh my God!" Suddenly, I'm enrolled in a quantum communication information master's program, and
very good.
and then suddenly I am the head of quantum at a large financial institution. It was like, oh my God. But for me, the Quantum Pirate, actually, that's a good story. It started almost by I don't know why. I was in for my own education. You know, you curate the pieces of news that are relevant, and you read all that, and you're reading a lot of stuff all the time. And as the time evolved, I realized how much noise is in the quantum
Yes.
world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is growing and growing and growing. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for every 10 articles, 9 of them are, what are the best quantum companies to invest your money on? Right? And like that. So I said, well, I'm going to create a little workflow for myself that I select the articles that I think are relevant or the papers that I think are relevant so that I could somehow have a morning coffee on Sunday morning coffee to go through that and have my digest of what has happened. And I automated that. This was before Gen AI, so I automated all that and whatnot. And then at some point I say, well, I'm going to use Substack to just put that on a newsletter so I can receive that as the newsletter I would like to receive.
So you just did the Harry Potter approach, write the book that you want to read. Yeah.
Exactly that, right? And then at some point people started subscribing to the newsletter, and I called it the Quantum Pirate because for a long time when I was doing like interim CTO jobs or consulting and so on, my sort of Slack and Twitter was the pirate CTO. Yeah. Because for a long time, and back into your first point, that was my way of trying to bring good large companies' practices into smaller companies and startups and vice versa, and mix the two worlds. So you can still achieve something in a company, but be a little bit of a pirate, and break things from time to time.
Yeah, cool. So, as we mentioned, this quantum. So, let me just start the queue for the questions, and then we bridge the time. It's getting quicker, by the way. Let's bridge the time. Just wait, and then I'm doing some noises here. Click clack. So, now, what do I want to say? So we bridge the time till it runs. You mentioned signal to noise. Any quick recommendation to or insight about the signal to noise ratio currently in all these AI news? And I mean, I think if you open LinkedIn, you see 89% or over 90% people who post on GPT-5 or not. So any idea what to do and what not to do?
Forget about all that. Stop reading and start playing.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
That's it. And now it is when you can actually do that.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know how to program or something, it's easier than ever. So forget about all these experts in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Tinker yourself, solve problems.
Really hack on. Yeah. Okay.
Like that.
Good. So it's here. I start the sound. So you will like it. Just wait. Tension's building. It's here. It picked number 92, which doesn't help you, but it's called. What's your favorite curiosity-driven experiment?
Curiosity-driven experiment. Okay, I'm not sure if it is a curiosity-driven experiment, but it's a decision-making experiment based on what makes you curious. So hopefully I can
go.
Answer the question. So the first time I heard about this, they explained it to me as the Ottoman way of making decisions.
Okay.
Now I've talked with many Turkish friends of mine, and all of them say that's bullshit. There's no such thing. So for all the Turkish and Ottoman people listening to this, please don't take this any seriously. But the method I think is really relevant. So you make a lot of. I keep a notebook with me all the time, making notes on what things and what if, and then at some point you try to connect the dots, and then you have to make a decision on what do I do with my life. Do I take this job or not? Do I quit so I build this thing, or I don't? Or I eat noodles or kebab today. Big decisions in life. So the Ottoman way of making big decisions in life says that you have to agree with yourself both sober and drunk.
Okay. Okay.
And if there is a disagreement between those two selves, you have to go back to the drawing board and
And
reset the thinking process and then do the experiment again, which makes it incredibly fun to
and then
execute.
get drunk.
Um, but I mean, there is some sense to it, right? If you think about the, Kahneman's two brains that we have, right? The sides.
Left, right, yeah.
It's kind of related to that. When you are in a dubious state of mind,
Yeah.
you are also unlocking some
Yeah,
maybe
you have access to different sources, sure.
exactly
Yeah.
removing filters and so on. So, but at the same time, you don't want to make decisions just when you are in that state. That could end up badly. So making sure that you agree with yourself on both things.
So you entangle yourself in principle with the red.
Yes, exactly. Entangle and then detangle.
Yeah.
Compute
Tango.
and uncompute.
You tango with your entangles.
Exactly.
This is cool. I'm trying to. I will take this on my on my to-do list. Now the thanks for this, Sergio. The guests and all listeners, I'm not getting tired to repeat this. So everyone who has a question, please submit it to the pool. So your chance to have your own question and then answer. So put your own question to the pool and answer it yourself. So because we take a transcription, I make sure that I ask my LLM to make it understandable. So feel free.
Right. That's an interesting one. So maybe related to some of the things that we've been talking about health and home care and AI and embodied AI. I would ask the public: would you buy, say, in the next decade, a humanoid robot that helps you around in the house with everything from laundry to cleaning the toilets to supporting you when something happens? Maybe you fall down, maybe your table glass breaks. Your personal assistant that has absolute access to all your life, all your calendar, all your browser history, all those things, right?
Oh.
Because that is the way to provide you that it's not a robot that's next to you, it's an extension of you, right? Think about it as a surrogate. Even there was this Bruce Willis movie, right? Surrogate. So don't go that far. Let's just say almost like an Asimov like bicentennial man type of thing, a humanoid robot in the house, like you have your vacuum cleaner robot today, but
You're a bit smarter.
give it smarter. Yeah, mine is completely stupid. Give it legs and arms, give it tasks, do laundry, ironing, folding, everything. Would you buy one of those and be comfortable with having it around in your house?
Okay, that's the question. I'm noted it. You will. I'm not sure what number you will get, but it's close to 200 or something. So let's go.
Oh my god!
And your answer, Sergio?
My answer is absolutely yes.
Okay.
I think for me, the price for something like that, I think we will have something between 5 to 10,000 euros. So the price around less than a car, but the ROI will be calculated on how much home assistance cost today, and especially for the elderly and so on. I won't venture on which company will start winning the race, but of course we all know some of the names out there. But I do think I will have one of those at home before 2030.
Ah, this is cool. So and just did you discuss this with your wife?
Oh, no.
Okay. She won't listen to the podcast. Okay, good. Cool. So this is really fun. Just looking at the clock, I think I would thank you very much, and we are over an hour now, even though it felt just a few minutes. I always like to have my guests to have the last word. So what I'm going to do, I say goodbye here, I wink, And then sometimes when I'm on podcasts, I think we missed something. So here's your opportunity just to share whatever you want, or some not last words, but guidance, take home messages. And I let you close. Really, thanks. It was an absolute pleasure. Please stay in the line.
Nice.
on our live. So the floor is yours, Sergio.
Thank you very much, Thomas. It was great to talk. One of the things I want to do is, as soon as we can, is play a game together. The combination of music and quantum and physics is so big. But I think it's because it mixes two of the things that we have been talking about today, right? Massive, absolute curiosity and passion for change in the world. So if there's something to take home is, keep rocking and change the world. There's a lot of things to make better. So let's bloody do it. Thank you very much for having me here and for listening. Have a good one.
So, dear friends, thanks for listening and entangling to the Entangled Health podcast. Feel free to like it, share it, subscribe on your favorite platform, and if you are inspired, join our guest and submit your question for future guests. Join the conversation either via sending an email, following us on LinkedIn, commenting under the episode. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep exploring the unseen with Entangled Health.